So, Lewis, you've now been effectively recruited into the mob.
Mhm.
Describe the process, meeting the other guys, the social clubs we hear so much about, the daily interaction, and also how much was John Gotti himself on the scene?
Well, the interaction would be you have your own crew, guys you work with every day. Those are the guys you see minute to minute every day when you wake up, which is usually around 11, 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And you finally get started around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And then your schedule takes you probably into the night. And then if we did hijackings and heists, so the only time we were really up early is if we had to hit something early. And even then, I hated waking up, but I loved the heist, so it got me going. So the guys you interact with most of the time is, for me, was my crew, guys I dealt with, guys I did crimes with, and then there are certain haunts. We got stops where human beings are habitual creatures. There were certain stops where I went every day. I went to this guy's social club, this guy's store, this guy's stopped by this guy's house. The other thing too is the FBI later on when I was finally indicted for all of my crimes, they said that I had a chauffeur. I never had a chauffeur. I had a guy in my crew who didn't mind driving, and I hated driving in the traffic in New York. So he would drive. The FBI turned him into my chauffeur later on. He really wasn't my chauffeur. He was just a guy who didn't mind driving. Then the next step is the guys in the criminal organization, which would be the Gambino crime family. You have guys you speak to on a daily basis who you have to put on everything on record with. So if you're going to commit a crime, let's say during the day, I got 2 heists that I was tipped off for. I may be doing them. It looks like I'm going to be doing them. Maybe a load of counterfeit money came in. Maybe I'm going to be pursuing that. Maybe another guy wants a Shylock loan. Whatever I do during the day, I usually put on record, because if things come out and there's a beef later on, they're going to ask you, why didn't you put that on record? You put that on record with whoever's above you. So that stuff gets recorded verbally, not obviously with a pen, but it gets recorded verbally. And once something's on record, you're good. As long as you conduct yourself properly, you're good. If it comes to the table and there's a beef later on, let's say, for example, I knocked off a place once out of Kennedy Airport. There were trucking companies that operated in and around the area of Kennedy Airport. So I knocked off a truck. I hijacked a truck coming out of one of these companies. And it turned out to be that the guy who owned the company was a soldier in the Lucchese family. So he's livid. He wants his truck back. So the fact that I put that on record, I just go to my guy and say, hey, listen, I hijacked that truck. Remember that load? Yeah, I got a beef on the street. He takes care of it for me. Had I not put it on record, he's livid now. He wants my hide, because I'm obviously hiding money from him and the family if I did this hijacking on my own. But the fact that it's on record, they go to the table. And then the guy, obviously from the Lucchese family, pretends he's mad because he wants some type of settlement on the street. But in reality, he puts in an inflated insurance claim. He gets double what the truck was, that it was stolen, but he just wants a piece of my action too. So, or sometimes just an apology. It's a quote unquote respect thing, where he wants me to say, hey, listen, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was you. I would never steal from you. And you go through the whole bullshit. They put the violin, they pull the violin out, and you do the Godfather thing. I'm sorry. I did not know it was you, and this and that. And then it's on to the next. So that's how sort of like crime works, where you put it on record and you always kick a piece. I was very, very generous with my crew. I never bullshitted them. For example, if I got, let's say, $100,000 on a score, I split it evenly. If there were 4 guys on the score, after I kicked up a piece, we split it 5 ways. So, whatever it was, I would say, this is what I got, and here's your cut. And it wasn't that I was worried about anything coming out one day, because usually I dealt directly with the fence and my crew had no connection to the fence. So whatever I got paid was my business, and whatever I kicked up was my business. But I still felt it like, if these guys were loyal to me, why shouldn't I be loyal to them? And we'll make more money next time. So what's the difference? So I was always straight with them. And a lot of guys aren't. A lot of guys play unfair. That's why Meyer Lansky, when I read a lot of mafia history, now that I'm writing a book about mafia history, I see that Meyer Lansky always played fair when he had these casinos. He kicked everybody the right piece. He never like tried to like skim from the mob. He skimmed from the casino, but he didn't skim from his partners. And I thought that that was important myself when I was doing business. It just gives you a good name. People want to do business with you. Something's going to come out one day in the wash if you do cheat people. So that's another thing. As far as like John Gotti, John Gotti had 20 capos or 30 capos he had to sort of like do business with. He had a consigliere, he had an underboss. You didn't see him all the time. You caught a glimpse of him here, going there. If you were called to his attention over a beef, you might get to see him because you got to explain yourself. But me personally, I was in and out of the house of Peter Gotti, who was John Gotti's oldest brother and capo, and eventually became the Gambino family boss. The FBI traced my phone records back and forth to his house for about 5 or 6 years straight, and probably about 7 years. I was in and out of his house regularly. Right until the day I went to jail, I was regularly going in and out of his house. But that was different. I had a relationship with his son. I had a relationship. I liked him. He liked me. It was different. But it was more personal. But if it was just your captain, you don't necessarily go to visit your captain or capo every day at his house. You might see him by the club. You might be called to see him. You might be sent for whatever reason. It's more that way. It's more corporate. Like if you're a manager, you don't always go to the CEO's office. If the CEO's got a problem with you, or CEO has an award to give you for some reason or another and wants to congratulate you for something, there might be some reason or another that you're called there. But otherwise, whether it's a captain, whether it's a soldier, whether it's a boss, whether it's an underboss or a consigliere, these guys have their own little small cliques that they really, really keep around them, that they trust. And you know everybody. For example, the boss of the Colombo family, Vic Arena, was a dear friend of mine. Vic Arena Jr. was a capo. His father was the boss for a while. They were sweethearts. Did I see Vic Arena Senior on a regular basis? No, he's not going to go. He's not going to see me. I'm doing hikes and hijackings. Did he like me if he saw me? Yeah. When we met again in jail, did we get along very well? We did. And I'm still friends with Vic Arena Jr. He's an incredible man, as is the father, as was the father, the whole family. Actually, he raised a group of sons that are all like him. So, it depends what your connection is to people. Usually it revolves around the crime that you're committing at the time.